Welcome to a series of podcasts discussing series of films.
I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
In a world inundated with prequels, sequels, spin-offs, and reboots, we ask the question,
Do we need one more? I think we do.
I think we don't. I'm just going to say it out in the open. I saw Dave, he wrote something on the notebook to give me a message while the theme song was going. I think the episode should continue, but I can't read it.
Yeah, that's how bad my handwriting is.
No, it's okay. So
No,
it's fine.
just trying to keep track of the time, I guess.
Oh, okay. No, that's a good idea. You were like looking at me with the thing, and I was like, oh no, I'm really trying to convince you
I wrote it out and I
this.
went, that's good enough, right? And then it was like, nope.
No,
that
that's
was
a good.
bad.
No,
That
that's
was
good.
bad.
I like what you.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to We Need One More.
Yes.
We are covering Mission Impossible. We just got off of a.
I'm not going to do more. I don't want to get sued.
It's worth it. No, we just spent the last couple episodes talking about superhero franchises, and now we're going to talk about real life superhuman Tom Cruise.
real life
Man,
real life super soldier.
Yes.
Insane.
He was seemingly defied all like physical boundary. He's like hanging out the side of planes and like jumping into live volcanoes.
A man who decided, I think, in the year of 1996 that he was going to attempt to kill himself for our entertainment.
Well, we are entertained. I can't help but say every time I see a Mission Impossible trailer, I get a little excited.
Yes.
And we're leading from here into the first actual like movie that is coming out this year.
Yes.
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Yes.
Which will be fun. We'll be making
part,
our way.
It was a part 2. Now it's its own thing.
Yes.
I guess.
I think that's a good choice.
I think it's a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm not huge on part 1, part 2s. I have passes for like Godfather and Dune now.
Sure.
Maybe a couple more. Feel free to comment if you think someone deserves a part 2, but I just make it its own thing.
Yeah. I'm open for like it depends on the thing. Like Dune obviously was such a like
it was like they split the one book, and so it's like that one kind of works for me.
It's like
a part 1, part 2.
famously hard to adapt.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good idea that they're just making them two distinct things, even if the story obviously will continue. But like the last couple of these movies have been pretty serialized.
Yes.
Which is more in line with kind of the origin of this franchise. It's funny that for so long that the series was completely separate. Each movie was separate from themselves.
Yeah, they were all like individual, because like the conceit was like every movie will be like its own episode of television. So it's like we're gonna get a director and like with their own distinct style, and then we're gonna like let them have their way with it.
Yeah,
which works really well, I think, in this first one. And like, not to get ahead of ourselves, we'll talk more in the next episode, but
it works more than it doesn't work. But there's definitely some.
We see how that can also like work against it.
100%.
But yeah, so what we got? Mission Impossible 1.
Yes, directed by, and talking about directors with putting their stamp on things. Brian De Palma is. It's his styles all over this movie. Oh yeah, it's such a bold choice. I mean, obviously they don't have they don't know that they're going to do 8 more of these right over the next 20 years.
I mean, I think they all like, that's like magic. I hope we get to do 8. And like Tom Cruise is the only guy who's like, we are still going. He's actually going to do the 8.
It's just cool to see. And this is, a testament to Cruise as a movie star, which is the context in which we will discuss Tom Cruise.
That seems like
as
a good
movie
idea.
star. That he, this is his first producing credit.
Yes.
This is the first thing that he produces under Cruise Wagner.
Yes.
And the fact that he's making a star vehicle for himself based on a show that he very much enjoyed, but that he's picking a very clear and like, for lack of a better word, like very visionary director, right? He has a very specific vision.
Very specific. We got Brian Palma's Carrie. He's not is the Conversation?
No, that's Coppola.
No, the Conversation. Oh, is the Conversation really Coppola?
The Gene Hackman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I still got to watch that movie.
I'm just going to read it.
This is where everyone who's like, I thought they were film guys, like tunes out. And I'm like, no. I said Godfather and Dune like earlier. Am I good still?
It's yeah. So Brian De Palma, obviously notably for Mission Impossible.
Did Brian De Palma do Blowout? He did the Travolta version, right?
He did,
which is like sort of like a remake of The Conversation.
Well, the last movie he did was Domino with Domino. It's with Nikolai Coster-Waldau. It came out in 2019. I remember seeing the posters for it. Movie. I've never seen it. His known for on IMDb, obviously, I'm just gonna go off of that for people who maybe do not know Brian De Palma. Body Double, Dress to Kill, Bonfire of the Vanities, and Snake Eyes with Nick Cage, amongst Carrie and stuff like that. Obviously, he's the guy that puts
I was gonna say that's interesting that's like where IMDb puts him as most well known. I was like, I haven't seen any of his
but De Palma,
quote unquote most well known.
He's around that camp of Spielberg and Scorsese and Lucas.
Yeah,
and all
he like famously is actually the one who pitched the opening crawl of Star Wars, but it was more of like a dish and like an angry rant.
George, what are you doing?
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, all the famous filmmakers of the 70s, that like new Hollywood era, like director bad boy, like squad.
Yeah.
They're all hanging out. And I guess the story goes that George Lucas was like trying to explain Star Wars to them. And Brian De Palma was just like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, you've got too much going on. You've got a robot samurai, a talking dog, like droids, like whatever that is.
Well, yeah,
like so like just put up a paragraph that says it's a galactic civil war, and then just like jump in with like the mission, and then it's like hard cut to Star Wars. Arguably the most iconic part of it is the opening crawl. It's just De Palma being like, nah.
Well, it's also like
shut it.
The story is that George showed them the current cut of Star Wars at that time with none of the special effects, or maybe one or two done. And Spielberg is the only one that kind of was able to see a movie outside of how the movie was currently working out. And that they all were like, what is this? Because it was like random exposition nonsense and them talking to an 8-foot-tall dog man, like you said, and then it would cut to like World War II plane footage, and he'd be like, what do you think? It's like, I don't know, George, what did we just watch?
Like, Spielberg's the only one with enough imagination to be like, I see the vision.
And De Palma rightfully gives him the idea to do the crawl. De Palma then obviously does one of the most iconic horror films.
De Palma did Scarface.
Yeah.
Why is that not like IMDb? Come on, you guys need to update.
I almost need to look it up.
When did Brian De Palma pass? Because he's passed away, right? He's not secretly alive like Ford Coppola.
He's still alive.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's still alive. Oh, he did The Untouchables.
Yeah, okay, I've seen The Untouchables. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? What is IMDb doing?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, well, let's get back. Mission Impossible.
Yes. So Cruise picks De Palma.
Yeah.
I think it's an incredibly smart choice.
Pick.
It's a great pick.
It's a baller choice.
Well, especially because he, De Palma is able to so perfectly like enhance the like thriller aspect of this movie.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, like I'll just get it out right now. Like Lessons from the Screenplay does a great video where they talk about these movies.
Yes.
And how they are essentially heist films.
Yes.
And that it goes all the way back to this.
I'm a huge fan of.
Agreed. This podcast is named after.
It literally named after a line from Ocean's 11. Which, when you put that in context to like this movie, it's like you can see where they're like borrowing their structure from.
Totally.
Like quite a bit in Ocean's 11.
But I think there are multiple moments in this movie, even in the heist movie elements, where the spy thriller is like going at 11. De Palma is not afraid to put the camera at an angle.
Nope.
And he will Dutch the hell out of each and every scene.
Like he'll give Danny Boyle a run for his money with that Dutch.
Which I find actually quite effective in this.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe we should say, what was your relationship with this movie? Do you remember when you first saw it? Things like that.
It's funny. The first one, I don't remember the first time I saw it, but I definitely saw it like much later than the other ones. So like when I first started seeing them, I think I saw 2, but like, and I'll go into more detail when we get to 2 and like what my viewing experience. But I saw part of 2, and then like years later, like around the time the third one came out, it was on TV again, and my parents like were rewatching it. I came in, caught the back half, then we rewatched it. Then, I think I just caught like the back end, and then we watched 3, and then obviously we just went back and watched one like after, because then I was like hooked.
Gotcha.
So like when I first started watching these, we only had 3 of them.
Okay. Fair.
But I did see 2 like partially when it came out, but it was like hey, you're a little young, you should go to the other room. This one's a lot hornier than the first one.
Yeah, 2 we'll get into 2. I feel it. This movie was honestly a movie that in my childhood, I hate to use this word, but I kind of avoided. Because not because I
did it just seem like too adult, or like
no, because when I was like 5 or 6 or something, my dad or something put it on, and I watched the opening of this movie, which obviously like every episode we're jumping into full spoilers.
Yes.
The entire team is murdered, and when Emilio Estevez gets
impaled in the eyeball,
impaled in the face, I remember being 5 years old, and I was like, I will never finish this movie, and I like rushed out, like freaked the hell out.
Graphic. I mean, you don't see like a lot, but like the visceralness of
it's
it,
enough
like,
that
getting him is like damn.
It like for having not watched this movie in full until I was like 16 or 17 or something, like I spent that 10 years or whatever just only having the shot of Emilio Estevez like about to get impaled in the eye burned into my brain.
That was like all I remembered from the first one for a minute too, was also just Emilio Estevez just getting murked.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hasta Lasagna don't get any on you.
I have thoughts about that gum, by the way. We get to that in a little bit, I guess. But
yeah, so that's kind of my relationship, is that like I didn't finish it when I was a kid, and then I never saw 2. And then I remember when 4 came out, and 4 was really the one that got me. Like 3, I just kind of like leapfrogged over.
Yeah, by the time 4 came out, I was like, I'm locked in forever. Like
yeah, 4, and we'll get to that when it comes. 4 was a very redefining. It was the Fast 5 of the series.
It really was, and that's like also like when I think they figured out what a quote unquote Mission Impossible movie like really is. I think with 3 they get like the skeleton started, I think. And then I think when 4 comes out, they're like, this is the formula.
Yeah.
We finally figured it out.
And again, we'll get to this in later episodes, but 4 is the inclusion of Chris McQuarrie. He starts to do,
did he
writing on that.
3 at all? No, right? It's 4 is his first one?
So I think 4 is the one that he comes on, because that's around Jack Reacher.
I know he's a writer. Yeah, because he wrote for Jack Reacher.
Yeah. Well, he directs Jack Reacher.
Yes, he does.
I knew that. And Cruise was like, this guy. You are my guy now.
You are my guy.
But before finding that, he teams up with Brian De Palma and the other directors that we'll talk about here. I guess, just discussing the movie.
Yeah, do you want to jump into plot as like quickly as we can? Because this one is probably, I don't want to say convoluted, because I don't think it actually is convoluted, but there's so much going on in this first one.
I mean, the log line is pretty clean in that. and stop me if you think I'm mischaracterizing it, but like,
no, but I might have anecdotes.
It's fair.
It feels like it's like you have a log line, but there's a lot of parentheses.
True. Well, it's about a guy trying to clear his name, right?
I guess it's The Fugitive.
It's a little bit like The Fugitive. It's Ethan Hunt is a spy for the IMF. His team is murdered, and he's framed as the mole.
Yes.
And
by who we don't know.
Exactly. And that's where all the convoluted, I don't use convoluted as a criticism, but just all the intricacies.
It's because it is intricate, but also like, shout out to the writers, because I think it is really like compelling if you're able to catch everything that's going on.
Oh yeah.
But one of our favorites helped with the story. I don't know if you took a peek at it.
It's David Koepp.
David Koepp.
I have a note
Spider-Man
about that. We'll get to that
fame
later.
And Spielberg team ups.
Yeah.
The other person to help with the story was Steve Zalian.
Yeah.
Who is the writer for Moneyball and a bunch of other great movies. And then the guy who actually wrote the screenplay did the screenplay for Chinatown. So maybe the most stacked like writing credits, I think, of the franchise.
I think if you
just want to compare their bodies
fair.
Of work, I feel like those are like arguably some of the greatest screenwriters to do the thing.
Sure, certainly, and certainly around that time. I mean,
definitely during that time.
Like, Cruise. I mean, he spent so much time like working with some of the best filmmakers of all time, and then he starts to produce, and then he's like, great. So now I have the power to like pick like the dream team and put these movies together.
Yeah,
and I think
they were like, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to make a Mission Impossible movie.
And boy, does he!
We've took the liberty of selecting a bunch of directors and writers and production designers for you.
And also, I mean, he makes the choice to, they don't go too much into it, but it is a continuation of the TV show from the 80s.
Yes.
Because you've got the 60s show, the 80s show, and then you've got this movie in the 90s.
Yes. And Jon Voight is playing... I forgot.
I believe his name is Peter Graves. He's the
Peter
guy
Graves.
from
He's
Airplane.
from Airplane, right?
Yeah, he's the
watching
pilot.
Gladiator movies?
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He's fantastic.
And he turned it down because of the twist at the end of this.
Yeah, he
which,
wasn't...
kind of rightfully so.
I understand.
It's like it's like that thing of like Tom Cruise really was like, no, this is mine now. Like you could kind of feel that a little bit.
I think it's interesting for the movie, like in a vacuum, right? For Jon Voight
in a vacuum to have that guy do it, but it's also like I kind of feel like I don't know that you need the character from the original series to be that guy.
Yeah.
Since it's like because it seems like he has almost nothing to do with the Peter Graves version of the character.
No.
So it's like at that point, I'm like, why not just make a new sort of mentor guy that sort of fills that role?
The only thing I can think of is because just Tom is just a fan. Like
True.
He just wants to put it in there. And
True.
He's like, I love the show, so I might as well, keep Jim Phelps there and stuff like that. I think it's interesting that he makes that choice, that he doesn't cast himself as Jim Phelps. That's an interesting choice because he's like all the other like TV show like movie adaptations are gonna like flood the market. Yeah,
this area is like a straight up like reboot.
Well, what it feels like to me is, and Voight is maybe kind of a meta, recasting in a way, but this feels like Tom Cruise saying, I am now, not to say that he hadn't led movies before, because he obviously has, but he's like, I am now my own enterprise, my own leading man.
Yeah, he's like, I am Tom Cruise, the movie star.
Yeah.
Even though like he's been it, but he's like, I'm going to actually like have like the formula of how to do this and have complete control over the things I'm in.
Yeah, and I think in creating Ethan Hunt, he is allowing himself separation to be, he's like, this is my own identity within this franchise.
I think it's the choice that makes this movie work over all the other movies that are going to come out, like over the Charlie's Angels and the Starsky and Hutches and the I don't know what other ones came out and failed. SWAT.
Yeah. Chips. I don't know.
Chips. Oh wow. They were still doing it all the way till 2016.
Trying to think of other ones. I haven't seen Chips. I shouldn't be rude to it. I haven't seen that movie, but it's just the first name that popped in my head.
That's really funny because I feel like Chips is like are we still doing this? I just with love to everyone who 100%. Worked on that because I didn't see it either. But all right, so Ethan's got to retrieve the knocked list to clear his name, and he's got to find the real mole, and maybe go rogue. This is the first going rogue, right?
He certainly goes rogue. I mean, he has the greatest. Cruise nails it in the "you haven't seen me very upset" and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
What I love about before that moment is I feel like you watch Ethan Hunt be born into the man that he will be for the rest of the
do. It's like that thing of like in context with all the other movies, you could kind of look at this and even though they probably weren't planning on it, you can go, that's the moment he starts doing all of it. Like,
yeah, well, because in the beginning, and I have, I when watching the movie, I couldn't help but just laugh at the fact that when they're, because obviously we start the movie, which I think is great. We start in the middle of a mission, right? Yes. Kind of like the opening of a
classic.
TV show.
We got a cold open. We got some masks.
It's incredible to see Cruise's physicality already like dialed in perfectly. Like when he pulls that glove off, it's so like specific and like sharp. Yeah, and I think it's very Cruise.
It's one of my favorite things about these movies is whenever someone's wearing a mask, because you have to think that that's a theater kid who also is a deadly assassin.
True. Yep.
It's like he's like that guy is like he probably practiced Shakespeare in high school and now he breaks necks.
Well, now also like Ethan Hunt has the luxury of getting to pretend to be people that basically look exactly like himself.
Yeah, I know he's like lucked out on all of these missions,
which actually I think for me is a feature and not a bug. In that, I think when we get to the reveal of the Jon Voight mask, I think it makes it more impactful because you've only seen it as not to say that in other movies, one other movie maybe it lessens the impact, but we like having it be like clearly Tom Cruise in makeup. So when when he pulls the mask off and it's not Jon Voight, it's Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
it feels like this
it's like mind
blowing thing that that's the case.
Yeah, because when he does the senator in the second part of the mission where everything goes wrong, that's just Tom Cruise.
When they cut to the footage,
I couldn't find a guy credited as the senator, and I was like, that's got to be Tom, right? Like
that footage of him in the interview of the senator like speaking to the camera, it is very much just Tom Cruise.
Did you think about Tropic Thunder at all when he did that? I feel like there was a love of like I must do, this is my thing. Like
it does. That is an interesting point to bring up. That Cruise kind of does love to do prosthetics, but I love after that mission and stuff when we're in with this like OG team. That they're all like doing bits with each other. They're kind of like smacking each other around. He's smug
in this one too.
Oh yeah.
Not as smug as 2, but we'll get to that.
He's got that like Tom Cruise like smirk, like kind of I'm smarter than you kind of vibe that he's kind of. It reminded me of Risky Business. Like
he's got that like cockiness here, but it isn't like obnoxious yet. Like it's still charming in this one.
No, yeah, it's very charming,
and it's charming in some of the other ones. But I will like spoiler for my thoughts on 2. By the time we get to 2, he is obnoxiously smug in that one.
Yeah, I texted you about it again. We'll get into
it. That's for next episode. Just to tease that out a little bit, I guess.
But I love seeing them be like, we're kind of buddies, and obviously we're setting up.
They're like, where'd they put you up? The Drake Hotel?
Yeah.
Can we get a cappuccino machine, boss?
And I will say it's pretty corny, but I do like it.
It's pretty corny, but I love it.
I think also in the vein of it, this feeling like kind of like a TV, like a high intensity version of a TV show, it kind of works for me, but I also understand why people would be like not vibing with that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's so much fun. I love that when we start, we are very much from the vantage point of that Tom obviously is a big part of it. He gets the whole movie star mask
he gets the big reveal. It's me, Tom Cruise. You were wondering when I was going to show up.
Yeah, but he's very much like clearly placed as like the young guy and Voight. I mean, obviously we get the kind of setup and payoff of the plane, of the I prefer the theater, all that stuff with Jon Voight in the beginning.
I love all that like old school code stuff. That's one of the things I love about this first one is how like Cold War spy movie it is.
Totally,
like, it's like, oh no, we gotta like it's, I mean, they don't do like Morse code, but it's like very like binary. Like, oh no, you got a thing, you got to wind it up to do the thing.
Yeah, it's not like and I guess this is where the movie's intention changes, right? And we'll get into this next week. I'm trying not to spoil too much about for Mission Impossible 2, but like this movie is not really presenting itself as an action movie.
No, it is like a pretty straightforward like spy thriller.
Yeah, so when there's not, I mean, we have a huge action set piece at the end.
Oh, nutty, wild,
crazy, but like we've got
like trains, we've got helicopters, we've got more exploding gum.
It's all in there. But I'm not disappointed that we're not getting, there's that like kind of quote unquote rule of like an action sequence every 10 or 15 minutes or whatever.
No.
That's not taking me out of it, that the movie is so clearly like trying to do a fugitive of like, this man is framed, he has to find his way.
He can't trust anyone.
Yeah, and I love that. And
He's having hallucinations.
The hallucination, I literally
when he like pushes her, like when he realizes like Jon Voight's not alive yet until he does.
Yeah.
But then like when he's like, you get back, she's like, what's happening? He's like, they're dead.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
He is going for it, and I respect it. You can see how into it he is.
Mm-hmm.
It's that cruise intensity that makes us love Ethan Hunt so much.
Yeah.
But then so like we go on this mission, things go awry.
Yeah. I love. I have so many thoughts about like the technology, because it's also like in an era where like not everyone knows what, like Google hasn't established itself as like the main search engine.
Oh yeah.
So like there's like a moment where he's like, well, who's Max? Who's this Max guy? I gotta find out Max. And he goes to like the search engine. He's like, Max? ?
Yeah, I
Max.com.
have that note too, that I was like, he looks up Max, and he also just looks up like the Bible.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's very much like, have you heard of this newfangled thing, the internet?
It's like that, like it's like the last movie, like the Fantastic Four movies of like quantum or like DNA.
Yeah, it's just this word that we're using, and it can
just gonna throw it out. We don't really understand how the technology works and how that plays into things.
But I love all that, and I love obviously like the I have I couldn't help but notice there's that moment where obviously they all have like little cameras in their glasses and they're following this guy,
which is sick. I love how much of like this first main heist like gets used to like save the day and finish the mission at the end.
But there's that moment where one of the agents, she like sprays something on the back of his head, and I was like, "Is that like a heat signature?"
Yeah, it's like
I was trying to understand what it was.
Well, yeah, it's like I don't think they said it was a heat signature, but it was also like then it cuts to a thermal imaging camera, I was like, "Did she spray the guy's head with Bengay or something? Like, what did
I have
a
no
little
idea.
Bit of icy hot?
Like, I, it's not a problem for me. Like, I'm not like, why didn't they explain blah blah blah? Because like 2 + 2, like I understand, sure, whatever.
Yeah. It works in the context of the movie. Like I'm not lost. I'm like, okay, they're following the guy. Oh, that's where the room is and stuff. And
yeah, I just thought it was fun. I was like, what is that supposed to be? But yeah, they follow him in, and like the mission then goes completely awry.
Yeah. It's, one of the main ones he's following around the first sequence. It's Christina Scott Allen. Is that her name?
Let me look it up. Let me see.
I just had it up. I don't know why. Emanuela Bert as Claire.
Yes.
Jim Phelps' wife. We have Kristen Scott Thomas
yes.
as a Sarah Davis, and she was in The English Patient and a bunch of other things.
That's right.
Emilio
Estevez.
We got Emilio Estevez.
With his one earring, I put a note. Can we talk? I loved that. He has one earring.
Him and Chris O'Donnell Robin. Like,
it's killer. It's the 90s. Let's do it.
Joel Schumacher was like an assistant. Like, hey, you should just...
Harrison Ford's watching set.
Well, no, Joel Schumacher's well into his directing career. What?
I said Harrison Ford is visiting set. And he's going, that's a good idea. Like,
yeah. He's like, those doors look heavy. Don't drop them on me.
But yeah, Schumacher. I mean, Batman and Batman Forever. So
he would have been
visiting
like in this bit. He would have. Yeah, that's true. Like he's what am I thinking? Like fucking Batman Forever. He's well into his directing career.
One day we'll talk about Batman Forever and defend it.
We will defend it.
We're gonna defend it.
That's a hill we're gonna die on. So get used to hearing that in context.
But yeah, so like.
There's going to be a newspaper article that's like 2 guys die defending Batman Forever on a hill.
Yep. Nobody asked them to go that hard, but
no one asked them to go that
felt
hard.
So passionately about it. Yeah. But so yeah, I like that like the team is made up of names basically, right? Like that it is such a shock when Emilio Estevez bites it and Scott Thomas bites
What
it.
are those?
Huh?
Those things that like come out, they're like Megatron looking like Transformer kind of like death weapons. I'm just like, so is that to slow the elevator down? If so, how?
My thought was
or did someone like get like did like De Palma in the script? They're like, yeah, there's gotta be a thing that stops it. And then like the production designer was like, they're like, just build like a big scary like kind of device.
I think it's one of those things where like we all like nobody knows what's in an elevator shaft.
No,
you know what I mean? Like there's just like. It's just like whenever we use that as like a dramatic device, it's the fact that there is a free fall.
Yeah.
So whatever like is like the stalactites and stalagmites of like an elevator shaft, it could be literally anything. And that's the thing is I want to be like, oh, that's what this is. That's what that is. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I could not tell you, but it is certainly effective. It made me avoid this movie.
On the off chance we have an elevator expert listening to the pod and watching the show, send in a letter, comment. I want to know.
Yeah, let us know. I'm actually.
Or if someone's handy with the internet and knows how to look up the schematics of elevators and can figure out exactly what that is because it wasn't in the IMDb trivia. But all right, so the team dies.
Yes,
they're dead. They're all dead.
They're all dead. And
John Voight gets shot by an unknown assailant.
Yes.
Someone blows up in a car.
Yeah.
And then we get Kittredge.
Yes,
who does the your mission should you choose to accept it.
Yes. Henry Czerny is fantastic. Fantastic.
I think when they brought him back for Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
Such a good move.
I like cheered. Like I was like in my car, like reading like news. Yeah. And I see it and I freak out like by myself.
I was like at work. I think I heard something about it but forgot. And then the trailer like dropped and it's just him being like Ethan Hunt, and I was like, oh, it's Kittredge.
Well, it's also especially because it wasn't that long after his role in Ready or Not, which he's also fantastic in.
Oh my God, that's right, he's
so good in that.
That movie's
great.
We're gonna just have to do it on the pod.
They're doing a sequel, so we should.
Hey,
we'll talk about them.
Perfect.
Both. Yeah, I adore those.
Those are some good directors too. I love everything those guys have been doing.
Me too.
Big fan of Abigail. Big fan. I've only seen the first of their Scream movies.
Scream 5 and 6, both good, but yeah, he's fantastic in this. He's such a good and I say this as a compliment. Like I would love to play a role like this.
Yeah.
Like he's just like the government suit. He's so perfectly
yes, but he's also a little bit over the top, and not a way that's not unbelievable, but just in like a get over yourself kind of, but that adds something to these genre of like movies that is so perfect. It's like the same thing that Cary Elwes has of being like, you're not real. What era are you from?
There's that moment in the dinner scene, which is
it's like a Jimmy Stewart kind of like exaggeration. Like,
yeah, well, there's like that dinner scene is like one of 11 incredible sequences in this movie, but like there's
which dinner scene? The cafe one?
The you haven't seen when Tom Grit does
water
run.
When he's like, yes, this whole operation was a mole hunt.
Yes,
everyone you know died. And so
there's a moment where like he's like, like we've had enough loss for today or whatever, and Tom corrects him like, I've had enough loss, and Henry Czerny like rubs his face like he's like, okay, yeah,
he's got that like, all right, rookie, like,
and it's such a perfect like. Yeah. It's perfect. He's so good. I love his like his voice, his like enunciation, I think is perfect in this.
Yeah, he's so perfect in this like role of the government student. He's I think there's a moment later. He has the first of the like living manifestation of destiny kind of lines.
Yes.
I forget what it was. I think I wrote it down here. Let's see here. It's later when they're talking to Max. Sarah, wake up, Claire. They're all dead. Oh, this is a random note. Ethan has parents. His parents are alive as of the first one.
He has
and they're never mentioned again.
He has a mom and an uncle. His dad is not mentioned.
I think they said his dad
because it's Uncle Donald.
Yeah, I think what happens is his dad has just passed, and part of like the con or whatever and setting up Ethan to take the fall is that like they're using his dad's death as an excuse for why he's screwing over IMF and doing like a cash grab.
Sure.
Is that it's to pay for like his father's medical bills and funerals. And I think there was a line of like dying slowly is an expensive way to go. And I was like, woof.
Yeah. Well,
that didn't change.
Because I don't know if they're making fun of them or if that was their actual jobs. Were they farmers? Was that the insinuation?
Yeah, I think it was like they were farmers.
It's funny to think of Tom Cruise. As
yeah, I don't know if I buy him being like from the Midwest,
boy.
But
yeah, but it's funny.
They're like, you're a podunk Iowa boy, aren't you?
I also think the movie.
Although I could see him doing that. He feels like he was a Star Trek fan and was like, I got to be a little Captain Kirk-esque.
Yeah. I think the movie leans into it well enough, though, because whenever they say Uncle Donald, there's an inflection of like, and Uncle Donald, like we kind of like lean into the fact that like it's kind of funny that's his, it's like almost Leave It to Beaver-esque.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did that again.
You did it again. So now I have to start the podcast over.
Hold on. But yeah, I think that scene with Czerny and Cruise is like, I mean, I think you've said this phrase before, but it's like you could teach a class on just this one thing. Like that scene, the Langley heist, like the
Langley heist is literally that's the master, because that's if you guys want to, we don't have to break down, because I think Lessons from the Screenplay does a great breakdown of that scene. So check it out. It's a great channel. I miss when he did videos.
Yeah. True.
But the Langley heist is like peak like heist movie stuff. Like, and it's like that's like all the parodies where that like Shrek 2 does a parody of The Wire's like
the Langley heist is one of those things where I don't think it's discussed enough, but honestly I feel like it is, if not at the same level, it is just below it, where it's things like Star Wars, where it's like you can reference, or like The Matrix, like the flying kick, where like you can reference that movie and people, or that moment, and specifically in this movie when he drops down on the wire, you can reference that and people know what it is even without having seen this movie, or even they even know that it is a reference to something iconic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like minimum they might go, oh, like Tom Cruise, like they'll be able to like piece that. Like,
I showed this movie not while we were rewatching it for this, but just like within the last year, I rewatched this movie with my little sister, and when that happened, because I was like, there's a moment that you'll recognize that like you don't know that you'll recognize, and when it happened,
but you've probably seen it parodied a million times.
When it happened, she was like, oh yeah, I've seen that. And stuff, and she was born in 2006. Like it's like this.
That's literally 10 years after
10
this
years
movie
after
came out.
This movie comes out. That she's like, oh yeah, I am aware of this as a visual gag, And she goes, oh, like this is from this movie. And I was like, oh yeah. And she adored it and like totally bought into all this stuff and thought the internet stuff was very funny, which it is.
It is. It's that like, we just don't know what this is yet.
Before we move out of the dinner scene, I do think it's important to stress that we get to finish off that scene. We get Tom's first big stunt.
The big stunt.
Which is the water run.
Yeah, which I don't think is shot as well as it could be, because I never thought this shot felt very dangerous. And then when I read about how many gallons of water are rushing at him, I'm like, that is terrifying.
I think, yeah.
I think it's kind of a hard thing to quantify, though. I don't know that there is a better way to shoot it, but I just think it's funny that for like years, I was always like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise doesn't start to try and kill himself until he climbs the tallest building in the world in the fourth one, right? And then you go back to the first three and you're like, no, there are dangerous stunts in all of these, and he insists on being right in the most dangerous part of the room.
I think it's like the object like magnitude of them, that it's like when you watch him climb the Burj Khalifa or like literally hang off the side of a plane as it's taking off, like you cannot like look anywhere else but like, you know what I mean, like it's just it's so obvious like how massive this is, that when he's running from water it doesn't seem too big, but when you look at it you kind of take yourself out of it for a sec. You're like, oh yeah, that is terrifying. It does. He uses the gum to trigger it, which I know you said you had some thoughts on the gum.
So I had a note. It was when they're doing the like setup for the first big mission that goes like haywire, and they do the Hasta Lasagna, they don't get any Anya.
Yeah.
The example that Emilio Estevez gives for the gum is that it's good for like blowing up a lock. And then when Tom Cruise does the red light, green light and throws it at the window, it sends the waiter spy
flying
like 70 feet straight back. And I was like, damn.
That is fair. Because as you were saying,
and then when you get to the finale of the movie, he like blows up the channel.
Yeah, he does, doesn't
but he? I just think it's hilarious that it's like, I don't know if like they were aware of how powerful that gum was, or if maybe the formula was wrong. I just think it's hilarious that it's like, yeah, if you've got like a door you can't get through, like this will like open the lock, right? And he's just like, boom, murders a dude through a wall, Man of Steel style.
Yeah, I completely forgot about it. As you were saying that, I was like, well, it just breaks the glass, and then I was like, oh yeah, I can now visually in my head see that guy like being pulled by a wire.
Because I was thinking, I was like watching this time because I remember thinking like, wait, he just said it's good for a lock. And I'm like, oh, it's like a big tank thing. And then I watched the one dude just like sailing backwards, like bye bye. And I was like, oh.
But yeah, so like,
damn,
when he escapes that, obviously, true. Yeah, that's a big lock, isn't it?
Because subtlety is the key to being a good spy.
That's true. That's true. But so he gets back. He has a lot of fun with the internet, and he sends off a lot of various emails. Mm-hmm. I do think it's
the one but I really love before you get there, when he first gets back and he's taking the light bulbs off and he's like crushing them in his like suit jacket and like shaking them out. I'm like, that's some like cool like 60s spy stuff, like
just the little details,
just like it's like in like Dr. No, there's like a bit where like James Bond like is someone gonna come into this thing, and he like puts like a greased up piece of hair just on the door so he can see if someone like uses the door.
That's sick.
But it's like, it just reminded me of like that, like cool, like old school spy stuff.
We're reintroduced to Emmanuelle Béart.
Yes.
Who I think is good in this movie, but she just kind of is written to stand around and wait for Tom to do everything.
She's got to wait for everyone else to do other stuff.
Yeah.
And that age gap of her and Voight is
it's a big one.
I'm like, that they could have this, you could, and because of like the way this like movie plays out, you could have very easily made her his daughter for some, like
it is weird that they're married.
And I don't know. That one's like, okay.
I'll bring up my little sister again when we were watching it, and she was like, that's his wife? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, ew, not into that. And I was like, yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she's good in this. I just think there's so many times it's like we do like a whole bunch of plot, and then like Tom opens the door and she's just like been sitting in a room.
Yeah, there's like one moment where she's just like tucked in a corner with a sleeping bag, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they're in a hotel. Where are the beds?
And like, I get that Tom is the lead of the movie, right? He's the protagonist, so he's got to drive the narrative. But it's like this, I feel like the supporting characters like don't really, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's essentially like she's like the female lead basically of this movie.
Yeah, she's the female lead. What was her like job in the first heist? What did she do?
It's pretty.
I feel like all the other girls were doing something else.
To be honest, I feel like it's
all the other women.
To be honest, I feel like the way that they don't really classify a lot of, like, it's like Voight is the leader, Cruise is Tom Cruise, and Emilio Estevez is like the tech guy, and then everybody else is just like agent. And Cruise is the same way, but Cruise is like the star of the movie.
I think they
so
said they call him the point man, and it's like, he's like your main guy.
Yeah, but it's like we don't really classify who's doing what, or if we do, it's not very clear. Like I have seen this movie 4 or 5 times. Because in my head,
she's like, they're like, let's go do the mission, and then she's just like gone for that whole first scene, and then they're like, everyone's dead, and then she's like, I'm alive, and I'm like, wait, what were you doing that whole first heist?
I mean, for as much as I love these movies, as much as we love these movies, they don't really write their female characters particularly well until we get to Rebecca Ferguson, but that's 5 movies in. You know what I mean? So, I think she's good in it. I
think she's good. I think it's just that thing of like, she's not going to get a lot to do in
there's this. There's literally
be sort of a damsel.
Just stand there.
Yeah.
She just kind of unfortunately has to stand there.
Stand there, look nice.
It's a bummer. Like there are,
What's my big job in the spy thing? Just stand there.
You just kind of hang out.
You're going to give this one guy diarrhea.
That's a pretty good bit. That is a pretty good bit. That's fun.
I think, again, another old school spy thing of like, it's just a pen that shoots like liquid diarrhea.
It's a little water gun. It's just Baja Blast.
It's just liquid Taco Bell. Yeah. We've diluted it down to its most potent form.
Takes a sip. He's like, man, that's really good.
He's like, that is like, got a cantina flavor to it.
This is dangerous now. I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm gonna come home and Laura's gonna be like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm
like, I've already bought $45 worth of Taco Bell.
Have you considered a Crunchwrap Supreme and several Doritos Locos Tacos?
I'm like, I got 3 different boxes.
Maybe one day we'll tell the story about how I ate an entire box of Doritos Locos Tacos on a film set once. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Okay, I do say it at parties, and every time I do, someone's like, "Are you?"
I bought the box that you bought.
How are you not
remember?
Dead? Kind of thing. That was that got me hooked on Taco Bell.
Yeah. Because you probably didn't have it a whole lot before.
No, because my mom was like a big health.
I tainted you.
You awakened me.
I did. Your third eye opened up. You were.
As I've told you, it's never the wrong time to live Moss. Okay.
You were like, I'm thinking outside the bun now.
We really shouldn't be talking about them so much because they don't sponsor this.
Nah, they don't.
But maybe they should.
Maybe they should.
Yeah.
They really should.
Let's go. We're 5-6 episodes in. Let's just go.
I could live Moss.
I'm just swinging for the fences with
Everyone's
this
going to be like, they sold out. And I'm like, guys, why do you think we're doing a podcast?
Bring back the chicken nuggets. They were really good.
Oh, are they already gone?
Yeah, they're gone.
I wanted to have
some.
Okay. I can try them. All right.
We're hungry.
Log it in. Hasta lasagna. Don't get any on you. Stand there. Give that guy diarrhea.
Little bit. Tom's intensity is Ethan Hunt. This is something we'll bring up several times. When he's looking through and he like cracks the case that like it's Job 3:14, that it's in the thing of the Bible. Yeah. When he puts the Bible down, I don't know if you noticed it in this one, he like smacks it a second time.
Yeah.
Like sets it down and hits it like he's like, I've done it. And
he's got such a like I'm a rookie like kind of energy. It's fun because it's like I don't know that that's actually a direct choice or that's just Tom Cruise actually being like, I'm doing this. I'm nailing this.
Whatever it is, it's totally working.
I am the man.
But I think
I think it totally works. But it's like funny to think about. Tom Cruise has been a movie star for so long.
Yeah.
And this is like where he really takes the reins of like his destiny and like all the 2000 stuff, for better or for worse. Like.
Well, I also think like with, like Ethan Hunt as a character, like kind of, I guess, relating to him to Bond, right? As like another spy. Like Bond is a character that you can kind of reinvent and every actor can kind of slip in and like do their own thing with Bond. Not saying that Bond is like underwritten, but he's kind of an archetype, right? In his own way. And Hunt, I think, is one of those where it's like, it's almost like Indiana Jones, where it's so specifically Tom Cruise that like if we were to continue, and we'll get into this when we get to the final reckoning, like, if Tom was to continue or not continue, like Ethan Hunt, if Tom leaves, Ethan Hunt kind of has to leave because Tom's intensity in this role is so like
specifically
it's
him.
Unreplicatable. You cannot get anybody else.
It's like Harrison Ford is, like you said, like Indiana Jones or Han Solo. It's just like his like. What makes him cool and specific and makes him Harrison Ford is also what makes these characters them.
It's also what I think defines Ethan Hunt as a character is how like intense he takes it. That he's not like kind of laissez-faire or casual.
No, like we said, he doesn't just say like they're all dead. Like he's like they're dead.
Yeah, he is like he cannot stress enough the gravity of these situations, which I think is perfect for this. Yeah. And it meshes with De Palma.
It does.
So
it's
well.
So perfectly.
They're a match made in heaven.
Like I think there's like a moment where he like enters in the camera, like goes like, "Oh, Dutch," like immediately, and it's like, oh, I'm living for it.
But so like he figures it out. We meet Max.
We meet Max, played by Vanessa Redgrave.
Yes, who is,
and Max is the White Widow's mother, right?
Yes, she's the mother
Vanessa
of
Kirby's character from Fallout.
Yes,
and Dead Reckoning.
Good casting. They
Great
actually
casting.
Totally.
I was like, oh my god, like Vanessa Kirby could just play a young Vanessa Redgrave. You know,
it was weird to watch it again because like, I watching it. I was like, wow, like they really nailed that casting. Like we don't even talk about it a lot.
No, they don't. But it was like that weird thing of like, when they mentioned it in Fallout, the first time I watched it, I hadn't seen the first one in like well over 10 years.
Sure.
And I remember being like, Max, it like hit me like a brick, like exactly which character they were talking about, even though I couldn't remember a single name from this movie.
They have like the same eyes. Like it's very specific.
They do.
Speaking of something very specific, I just want to say, just put out there my want for us to return to the 90s henchman in a long black coat with long hair. She had like
not enough ponytails in this movie.
Max's like right hand like guy is just like this like big dude with like long luscious blonde hair and like a big like duster. Yeah. And I miss people. Like the Mask is like chock full with those guys.
Chock full of like bald dudes who secretly have a ponytail. When
Die Hard.
They like look left and suddenly you're like, they have hair.
I love like when he showed up, I was like, I'm home. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, let's go, man. This is what I'm talking about. It's like a big guy in a coat. Every episode, it's just me redefining my love for just like guys.
The big guy in the coat this time also has to have long, luxurious hair.
Yeah, dude, and it works.
It's like Die Hard. Everyone's just like Swedish model. Like
he's just sitting on a park bench, but you see him with the locks, and like it's just like it just makes it. It really just meshes. It puts it all together.
What is the thing he has to do? Is like there's a man on a bench asking for a light or something, or like what was it? And the dude's just like if you want to meet Max, this is the price.
Yes, and then Tom, obviously, I love that. Yeah, Tom is like just like, I'm just gonna throw myself. It's honestly kind of going back to Indiana Jones. It feels a little like I'm making this up as I go.
Yeah,
it's maybe a little more intentional than how Indy tends to toss that off.
Yeah, well, it's like funny too that he's like, it's like that funny thing about Mission Impossible. Like he's always wearing a mask, like when you least expect it. But then like, I don't know who this Max person is, and he's just like, I'm just gonna go with my regular face.
Yeah, he's like, I'm Ethan Hunt. Like I don't need you to hide this. Yeah, you guys seen Cocktail? Like he's just like, that's me.
He's like, The Color Money. They're like, I haven't seen Color Money. Is it good?
I haven't seen it.
Ah, you tricked me.
I'm sorry.
All right. I have a note here. Ethan is not well.
That's a note that we can kind of carry over into the entirety of the franchise.
It's like one of the things I've noticed is like as the movies progress, and especially like getting into Dead Reckoning and Fallout, like Ethan has this like savior complex of like, I can't let my friends die.
Yeah.
Which becomes like a huge like point and like plot device is like that I have to do this. But it's like when you go back to this first mission where all of his friends are obliterated quite quickly.
Yeah.
And there's a moment where he like tries to go rogue on the mission, but he hesitates. And it's like that like feels like a character defining moment of like, I will never hesitate to save my friends ever again.
Yeah, totally. And I think Ethan,
it's like you can really like if you watch it's like that weird thing of like if you watch the other movies first and come back to this, it feels like a prequel.
Yeah, totally. And I think Ethan, like, I feel like, and maybe this is just me projecting, like, growing up, I feel like it was hard to be like, oh, I don't know what Ethan Hunt is as a character. He seems like just more just like a name for Tom Cruise to use.
He's like a cool guy.
But like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, he's a spy. But like, Ethan is a man who cares about his friends more than himself.
Yes.
Like, that is like who he is. And I think that's something that, again, we continue to tease the next episode. We'll get into in 2 that I think 2 really drops is Ethan's.
In 2, he favors, I think, his hair just a little bit more than his friends.
I'm ready to talk about that hair, baby. But so, he tempts with Max, and then he has that whole thing with Claire, Emmanuel Béart, that it's like, well, like, in order to clear my name, he kind of Nick Cage, like, I have to steal the knock list. Like,
I have to steal the declaration.
Like, he kind of is like, well, in order to clear my name, I have to steal it.
Yeah, I have to do the harder thing.
I have to go rogue.
All of his addictions start in this movie.
Oh, yeah. All of his vices.
all of them.
All that makes Ethan Ethan.
Yeah.
But it brings us into... I mean, we get two character actors back to back.
Two incredible character actors.
We get Jean Reno
and
as
Ving. What is his name?
Ving Rhames.
Ving Rhames.
Yes.
Well, not his name.
Oh, Luther Stickwell. What's Jean Reno's?
Jean Reno's character's name is Stickwell, or is he?
He's
French. Baddie.
French. Yeah, French spy man with a knife.
French baddie. Man with a knife.
Yeah, man with knife.
Man who's scared of mice.
Man who kills rat. Yeah.
He's the Krieger.
That's right. It's Krieger.
He's just the scientist from Archer.
I literally thought that exact same thing.
He's like, your authority is not recognized in Fort Kick-Ass.
That does feel a little bit like how this character would act, to be honest.
A little bit. He's got that like schwarmy, like, you pay attention to me, buddy, oh boy. I work with a guy. He's very nice, but like when I first met him, it reminded me of Jean Reno in this movie, and it's like funny because I was like, are you gonna like rob me? Like what the hell?
It's so funny to see, like,
or not even rob me, but like, are you just going to like convince me to hand over everything I own? Like you're just so like, yes, now give me your money, like kind of energy.
Yeah, of course.
And you're just like, yeah.
I love that Ethan is basically like, well, in order to do this, I'm gonna do what I always do, but I have to do it with disavowed members of IMF. Yeah. It's cool. Like we're like pulling players from the bench.
He's like, I really hope there isn't like a nation of these guys.
Yeah. Oh my god, a rogue nation. I could only.
God forbid
we have a rogue
forbid
nation.
There's like a whole nation worth of disavowed agents.
Oh my goodness, what would that entail?
I don't know.
We'd have to enact a ghost protocol, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like that he's like pulling.
I'm a dead reckoning.
Just keep
all dead. Like, you're reckoning.
It's just like, if only we were Mission Impossible 3. It was easier when they were subtitling these. But I think that whole scene on the train of him being like, yes, I recognize it's Ethan Hunt as a character, of him being like, yes, I recognize this is an absolutely batshit thing to do. I don't care. We're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to happen because I say that we're going to make it work, like kind of thing.
I like that they're like, you're going to hack the thing to get the knock list, and then that's not what Ving Rhames does.
No. Ving is just kind of keeping
He does
track.
hack the building, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I feel like they lied to him. They were like, yeah, you're going to hack it from the thing. And then he's like, well, I'd have to be in the room. And Tom's like, oh yeah, you won't be in the room. I have a whole choreographed number I'm going to do.
And then, and we kind of touched on it briefly. The Langley heist is, again, it's a masterclass. Like,
it's a masterclass. I think it's like the thing that like defined the franchise. Like, cause you'll see the drop like in every movie going forward.
Well, it's also, I love how so much of it is in silence.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like not, I don't want to say lazier filmmakers, but like, a different route for this movie would be really leaning into the score, and I think score is a really wonderful tool. It can certainly amplify emotions.
Music in this one by Danny Elfman.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that, and it's a good score.
It's a good score.
Great score.
And we're borrowing the original theme from Laszlo Schifrin.
Yes,
forget his name, but
I don't know his name.
Wonderful original main TV theme.
But
I'm gonna look it up.
There's that cliched. Phrase that it's like good score is knowing when to have music and when not to have music, and I think this movie is such a perfect example of that, in that I think with a score underneath the Langley heist, I actually think it underserves the scene.
Oh yeah.
I think the silence of it, the fact that they are supposed to be so incognito, that this is something that is not supposed to be able to be pulled off.
Yes.
And the idea is that we're supposed to be hiding this, that we're not
Would you
playing
say it would be
music.
Impossible to pull this off?
I would go so far as to say, if this was a mission, I would.
Not probable, but like
I would quantify it as impossible.
It's impossible. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Also, the original theme was composed by Laszlo Schifrin.
Okay.
Not Laszlo.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Thank you for making maybe one of the best.
And shout out to Bruce Geller for creating the show. I don't know if we said that up top, but thank you, Bruce.
No, we did not. But yeah, I think that scene is the way. Like, again, talking about my little sister. Like I've shown her many movies to be like, wondering if it's effective because I have like a nostalgia for it, or if it's effective because of the time it came out in, or if it's just effective because it's timeless. And watching her watch the Langley heist, she was like, I mean, like Scooby-Doo, like joking, like biting her nails, like the tension of that is eternal.
Great. I have one thought that I always think about in these like heist movies, and I'll do it again for the second one because it's almost the same, like not like the exact same heist, it is different, but like the entry point is the same of like there's only one way in. Also a vent with a big laser grid.
Yes.
That is big enough for a man in case we want a guy to go up there. Certainly. But it's like hilarious that they're like, yes, we've built an impossible room. And then we put air shafts that are coincidentally big enough for a person.
I was thinking about
like it feels like they like my headcanon is that they built it and then some guy walked in and went, "What's that?" And they were like, "Oh, that's the air vent." And they're like, "Why?" And he's like, "Oh, maybe if we just put like a big laser grid."
Yep. I was thinking about that. Like, I was listening to
only the world's greatest spies and a rat could break into this vault.
God forbid they're there together. But
God forbid the rat is controlling one of the spies.
Like, I was listening to the Weekly Planet talk about this, and they were talking about like, you know, why. And they were like tearing the movie apart by any means, but they were discussing it and they were like, why is the computer able to be used when hypothetically no one is in the room? And the only one thing like the vent, like I can think of is just like American ignorance.
Yeah.
Like,
they literally didn't think about it, which honestly though, like if you think about like if you've ever met like an engineer, it's kind of how they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, I've built this cool thing and it's like amazing. And then they're like, practically speaking though, that is the worst way to do this.
Well, I also, it's that thing of like, you know, well, we've put already so many of these fail safes that it's like intimidating enough that like, why would anyone try to get
it's like
there?
the hubris of like, well, it's Langley. Like they still have to get through the front doors before they even get to that. Like, of course we're fine. Like,
so, I mean, I think Ving Rhames' reaction to all of it is perfect, where it's just like,
Monsieur, Cobra Bubbles.
Yes, Monsieur Cobra Bubbles. Or Krieger, I think he has the line where he's like, you know, why don't we just stop by Fort Knox while we're at it?
Yeah.
Like he's just like,
I'll fly a helicopter into Fort Knox or something. Does he say fly a helicopter into Fort Knox?
He says I'll fly through the front doors of Fort Knox.
That's hilarious because then he proceeds. He probably could though. That guy's a good pilot at the end of the movie. He flies it into the channel.
Pretty easily.
I was like, damn.
Obviously, ultimately not very successful.
Not successful, but no. If that wasn't for that stick of gum.
If it was just...
if only Tom Cruise didn't have a commitment to minty breath.
Hasta lasagna, baby.
Garfield.
That's true.
Like I didn't even do like a Garfield joke. I just said Garfield. Period. Full stop.
We just like to We just like to bring stuff up. We took a side tangent on Taco Bell. There are no rules. We can do whatever we want.
Garfield lives Moss.
Oh, I'm certain that he does. I am certain that he does.
It's him and the Taco Bell dog, like around a table playing cards.
You can't show me a beefy 5-layer burrito. I don't think that Garfield is gonna just like.
I just had this like image of the Taco Bell dog and Garfield, but they're playing chess like Magneto and Xavier.
Love that. That's great. That they're like, we're not so different, you and I.
It's like you should have killed me in the chance, Charles.
But no, I love. You know, I mean, the way we move from Langley and like, I think we hit the theme right in the beginning too. That he's like, that's exactly what we're gonna do, and then the Mission Impossible theme,
and
goes
then they do
volume.
it all, and then it's like they do the whole heist, and then it's like when they're leaving, it's like bum dun dun dun, and then it comes back, and they're like back in it again.
Yeah, totally.
Every time they're like when they do the big thing, and then the music comes in, it's like the hypest thing ever.
100%. You know, and I love seeing it's brought up before and after this, but I love seeing Brian De Palma's use of the split diopter, which for those who don't know,
we love a good split diopter
really
shot.
Like it's a kind of a camera trick, right, where you have a person in the background.
Well, it's a specific lens that has dual focus, I believe, and so it literally can capture both the focal points at once.
You have this perfect like little like blur depth of field, like
and,
right in the middle.
Yeah,
super
and some
tight.
filmmakers are better at hiding the split part because like that's usually where it looks the worst.
Yeah.
Spielberg's actually really good. Like when he does a split diopter, he'll put it like he'll frame it where there's like a pillar like in the middle, so it's like less distracting where the hard edge is. But some people really like that hard edge.
I was
De Palma's one of them.
I love it. I think it's so fun. I like the obvious.
One of my favorite lines in this movie is in that split down. It's because it's Kittredge and the other guy, right?
Yeah, it's like I cannot believe someone actually broke into Langley and stole the knock list.
Yeah, and then he's just like, I want that guy like on a radio tower in Alaska. Mail him his stuff. Like
the fact that he's just like, I don't care, just get him the hell out of here.
He's like, he's gone. This never happened.
It's so good.
He's getting a transfer to Alaska.
Damn,
that's how bad this was.
Damn right. And it's great. And like then obviously shortly after that, Voight kind of reveals himself
to be alive.
Be alive. This
is where the movie starts to get tricky to understand, I think.
Yeah, I would say the scene where I'm gonna keep referencing My Little Sister, but the scene where Voight,
it's a good control to have a little sister.
It's a
as
lot
like
of
an
fun.
audience. Like
I very much enjoy.
Get over here. You don't know film theory.
I enjoy having a younger sister and a younger brother and older sister. I'm not going to exclude those other two.
It's funny. We have the same sibling dynamic. We both have 3 other siblings: an older sister, a younger brother, and then a youngest sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time we say that, we've said it before. I'm always like, that is interesting.
It's wild.
That worked out that way. But when
we both have a podcast.
We do have. Isn't that funny?
How that worked out? We both have a podcast.
That's what an interesting coincidence. But when we were watching it, and Voight reveals himself to be alive. There's that great moment where
that reveal is hilarious. That he's just like on the phone, like chilling, waiting to make his like entrance. Like
he's
up?
Again very theater kid, just
very
waiting
theater kid.
To make his reveal.
They're all theater kids who couldn't get real jobs and then had to work for the government.
Oh boy, what a nightmare! As a theater kid, that just like scared the hell out of me when you said that. But when they're sitting and there's the whole thing.
If you're pursuing theater right now, don't give up on your dream.
Yes, please. We're both theater
Endurance
majors.
is the name of the game.
We're both theater majors, right?
We are, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Which surprises a lot of people when I say that. They're like, you're not a theater kid. And I'm like, more like kid who did theater. I don't know if I did the full theater kid transformation.
But watching this with her, when Voight is saying, "Oh, Kittredge is the mole. That's the mole," and we're doing that great thing of Cruise being like, "Yes, of course, yeah, Kittredge is the mole," and we're flashing back to in his head him piecing together how it's John Voight.
He pulled it off.
When that was happening,
because right before there's a scene where when he's looking at the Bible, he sees that it's from the same hotel.
Yeah,
that they.
The Drake.
The Drake Hotel that they referenced that came up, which great detail. If you're paying attention.
And My Little Sister, the editing of that I know confused her at first.
Yeah, because you can't. It's kind of hard to tell if it's John Voight who's having the flashbacks or if it's Tom Cruise or both.
Sure.
And I think it actually only makes sense if it's 100% Tom Cruise.
That's
and then just shots of him being like, "Has he figured it out? No, I'm still good. I'm still good."
Well, a point that I put in my notes that I think is interesting, and I wish Emmanuel Barrett had more to do in this movie because I think it would be more effective, is when he's running through the plan, he's figuring out how John Voight, knocked out, Emilio Estevez and Kristen Scott Thomas and, blah, 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 and himself. Mm-hmm. That when he talks about the car...
And then he rubs that, and he pulls it out. He's like, there's blood in my hands. I'm dying.
So again, very theater kid.
Like in his head, that also feels like him being like, is the blood too much? Like, oh no, it's perfect. It's perfect. Like,
but I wrote a specific note about this because I like that when he's looking at the car, that Cruise, there's a moment where he's like, well, he couldn't have been able to do it himself, and he flashes.
He was rubbing the blood on himself, doing his little performance.
Precisely. That he envisions.
He almost won the Emmy.
Yes, true. He envisions Emmanuel Bayard pushing the detonator to blow the car up. And when he envisions that, he goes, no, he could have done it himself. And he then works out a way that Emmanuel Bayard is not involved in the situation.
Yeah, which is kind of a weird choice at that point, I think.
This is where I'm like, I
think it's that thing of like they're not ready for the big reveal yet. So they're just creating doubt, I guess.
The way that I viewed it is that Cruise is not willing to accept the fact because he has connected with her.
Yeah.
That she is also turned heel and is involved. But I think because she is so kind of absent from the movie as opposed to just like being there to like play off of him because she does not, unfortunately, is not given the opportunity to play much of a role in the movie that I think that moment is missed. That's at least how I interpret it.
Yeah, it's that weird thing of like, it's like the movie's giving it to you, but it's kind of like, I don't know that we've ever had to deliver such a complicated thought.
Yeah.
Visually, like through editing and everything. Like it's so much information that they're trying to convey while also having like two guys have a standoff of, have you figured it out? And it's not like in a Sherlock Holmes movie where they go like, ah, yes, the killer did blankety blank, and you can have the narration with it to just make it like that much more clear. So it's like the thing of like, if you're watching the scene and dissecting it, all of the necessary information is there, but kind of doesn't make sense, I think, unless you've watched it 2 or 3 times. And to the point where when you're rolling into that third act finale and the additional twist, it's like, wait, did they bullshit me? Like, did they just bullshit this all? Or are they just pretending that it works? Or does it actually track? And I think it actually tracks, but it gets really
I think it tracks. I think it tracks, but I think it takes a little bit more effort than I think is
fair
intended. Yeah, I think
I think it's just like a huge ask of people, especially in the first Mission Impossible movie, to try and decipher that much information.
I think it just
from the scene.
I think it could just go down smoother. I think it's all there.
Sure.
I just think
it's just like a lot.
It happens really quickly. But then we move from there pretty quickly into the train sequence.
Well, before we go into the train sequence, we've also got Tom Cruise's magic tricks.
Oh my God, that's right.
Which allegedly, apparently, those are real pulls or lifts he's doing where he hides it. Like that's not a trick. I'm calling bullshit.
Well,
I need a magician to show, like, I don't need to know how the trick works because I don't want the illusion to be broken, but I need a man to do it in front of me.
I will
I will believe that he could physically do that.
I will say, obviously, it wasn't in front of us, but to bring them up again, the Weekly Planet, at the end of their coverage for Mission Impossible 1, he does a whole thing where, like, his gag is that at the end of every episode, they're going to recreate a Tom Cruise stunt, and he recreates that magic trick.
Really?
He does that. Yeah.
Wow, okay,
and
he does
that. It is a trick that you can do that.
Wow, okay, it is breathtaking to watch.
And Cruise makes it look effortless and so charming.
I love the idea of like Jean Reno comes in and being like, I've got the leverage. Ha ha ha. I have the necklace. What you gonna do, tough guy? And he's like, do you? And he just straight up like rolls a nat 20 on like bluffing.
Oh yeah, especially because it is the knock list.
He's just like, yeah, he has it. And he takes like a full, like, has a whole other separate thought in between like him dumping it in the trash can and being like, oh yeah, I should go get that out of the trash. And then he and Ving Rhames, him and Luther have their like bro moment of like, we can trust each other and we're going to be friends for life.
I'm glad you went back because that is something that I wanted to bring up was that like,
that's like the ultimate bromance, like right 100%. There, these two.
Well, it's how clear it is that Luther is like, just off the first movie too, he's such a part of this series. I think just as much as Cruise is.
He is.
He's
like integral to the blood. Like Christopher McQuarrie goes on and on about how good he is as Luther.
Good.
And on the days that he's just like, oh yeah, I know how this works. You cut to me and then I give like 3 or 4 reactions. I don't actually say anything important, but I just have to be like, hell yeah, on the day.
The way there's that scene with them right after that where he's like, you wouldn't have gotten into this if you had known. That's why you deserve to keep track of this thing. I trust you. And there's that like look that they give each other. And I'm like, these people have so instantly connected. And I think after Cruise has lost his entire team that, cringy dialogue or not, like we have established that he very much appreciates, that he is like, that him and Luther so clearly connect that like it makes sense that Luther continues to return.
No, it's great. I love that he's come back and has like stayed through all of them. Like he's the only other actor that's been in all of them. I was also gonna say I love that he's also apparently one of the reasons they went with Ving Rhames as the hacker is because at that time all the other hackers was like a tiny or lanky skinny guy with like crazy hair and like
Doc Brown types.
It's like you go to the movie Hackers and it's a lot of like bleached blonde or like purple hair and like that kind of stuff. And like, or you get like Seth Green is like a hacker in like the movie Enemy of the State. And like, he's just like a fast talking and in here it's just like the coolest man you've ever seen.
Luther is so steady,
a well-dressed man.
He's dressed so well. And in the second one too,
he's got some great lines about his clothes.
Yes, he does. We love a man who knows how to dress himself. Luther's the best.
Marcellus Wallace,
that's true,
is the man.
Cobra Bubbles, the dude's iconic. Ving Rhames
does he look like a bitch?
Ving Rhames is
not here,
not spoken of.
Not here.
A lot. He is very underrated.
He is awesome. He's one of my favorite character actors.
Well, even in the kind of going into the train sequence when he sets the foe down and the train.
Dude, when he's in that 3-piece, dude, he looks slick as hell.
So good. And the look that he gives when the guy's like, "Oh, sir, this is your phone," and the like look of like, "Oh, dude, you just fucked up my whole like."
Yeah,
thing.
my whole thing. I was doing my fun little hacker thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, if I was me in the job, I'd be like, this was like my big thing on the heist, dude. You just ruined my big moment.
It's such a good look. It's so effortless.
I go to the bathroom and I leave my phone.
Come on, man. Have you seen a spy movie? This happens all the time. People just put stuff down.
That'd be me. Like if I had to rip the mask off and it came off in 2 parts. Like, like I just ripped the. Almost knocked my mic off. Got excited.
Like pulling a sticker.
But yeah, like if it was me, like I'd come out and then like I go to grab the mask and then I just rip off just the ear, you know? And then they're like, "What was that? He ripped part of his face off."
Yep. I totally feel that. But yeah, I think this sequence is pretty good. I don't think
which sequence are we
train.
The train sequence I think is pretty great up until it goes into the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't think it's as good as Langley.
No, it doesn't quite top Langley, but it's still pretty cool. I think it's just once you get into the tunnel, it's like the effect of like the perspective gets kind of wonky and weird. But I think when they're on the outside and it's just crews hanging off, the train looks great.
Yeah,
looks amazing.
It's like a skydiving machine or something that they like tilted on its side. Like they're like
it's just one of those fans, and they're just like doing it. Yeah, I love that. Like John Voight has like goggles and like suction cup gear and like a James Bond like spy suit and like a backpack with presumably a parachute in it, and he's just like, haha, I've got the money, I'm gonna make my run. And Tom Cruise is just like in a big dress shirt, like in his dad's dress shirt.
It's also funny to see John Voight overpower Tom Cruise, especially
I know, that's really funny
in like the 6th one or in Fallout when he's like throwing a guy through a bathroom mirror and all this other stuff.
Yeah, he's gonna fight the greatest martial artist in the world and then Superman.
Hell yeah.
And in this one it's like, Angelina Jolie's dad is gonna kill you if you don't. She's like, oh no.
But yeah, we get the reveal. Obviously, we reveal that Claire was involved.
Yeah, and he weeds her out by pretending to be John Voight.
Yeah, he just has to sit there quietly and not say anything. That
that mask effect is great.
Also holds up so well. It's so perfect. John Knoll, I believe, is the effects supervisor on this. Works at ILM. Also came up with the idea for Rogue One.
Did he really?
Yeah, that's his idea. John Knoll is very, very, very notable. Shout out John Knoll.
Shout out John Knoll.
But yeah, I think that scene is.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's got that weird in the middle of them trying to explain it all. Like it's just there's like a lot of it's just a big exposition dump.
I do want to,
and maybe the most misogynistic thing I've ever heard until I watched the second movie.
Is it what I think it is? Because I read a note about this
I've tasted the goods.
Yep,
or
that's
something.
Exactly what I thought.
Oh, I got chills in the worst way.
Uncomfortable. Don't like it. Please don't.
Shout out to Peter Graves for saying no to the movie. I feel like he was like down and then read that line and went no.
I would too, honestly. I'd be like, can we change that?
I'm just like, at that point, I'm like, that's where I'm like, it's that thing of like, why bring back the character Jim Phelps and give him such a like. What an awful thing to say about a woman.
My little sister was like, please tell me he dies. Like we heard that line and she was like, this guy's got to go.
I was like, don't worry. He's about to be exploded and run over by a helicopter.
He's going to turn into like a cartoon character and get smushed.
Yeah, we're going to confirm his death with a CGI model that explodes and crumples.
So the only person ever been more dead in a movie than that is Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, because you literally see a skeleton.
Yeah, he just incinerates. But I do want to bring up just as a small tidbit, because I have thought this every time I've watched this movie. The guy who works at the train, the guy who passes out at the end, does that guy to you also look like someone pulled a character model from The Incredibles and put him in this movie? Yeah. It is unbelievable how much that man looks like a Pixar character.
That is a real life Pixar character. That guy's in other movies, isn't he not?
He might be, or we're just thinking of The Incredibles because he looks like those.
He literally
guys.
has
He looks
the
like
face
one of the cops or something.
He does. He kind of looks like, I think he looks kind of like the insurance agent that he throws through the wall at the box.
Yeah, he does look like that guy. There's 1,000 of those people.
Let me see if I can find him on here, because I feel like that guy goes on to have, his name is David Schneider.
Okay.
He wrote Death of Stalin.
That guy wrote The Death of Stalin.
He did, and he is an actor in many things.
Good on him.
He's good at a lot of voiceover stuff.
He has like no dialogue, but
he seems to do a lot of very British things. So I feel like,
that is a British
it's
guy.
like people probably recognize him more. Let's see what are the writing credits he's got. It's your Death of Stalin. And that's the only thing I recognize is Death of Stalin. So
that's still crazy.
Good for David Schneider.
Yeah, good for
you're
him.
being recognized in this podcast. You're the official train conductor of the podcast, I think.
I'm gonna pull this mic back a little bit. My favorite bit in this action sequence is when they're on the top of the helicopter and Tom hooks the helicopter to the train.
Yeah.
And he turns to Jean Reno and he looks at him and he goes, "Ah!" And he screams at the top of his lungs.
Well, I like that, John Voight's like, I've got this big hook to hook myself, and Tom Cruise is just like, and grabs him like a monkey, and then wrestles that hook up and goes like, no. We all die.
Unbelievable. The primal
the level
scream.
Of insanity to be like, not only am I not going to just kick it so you can't just be pulled away by the helicopter, I'm going to take the helicopter with us on a moving train.
Love it. I do love
he just
the way
bet
that
the life
helicopter...
of every innocent life on that train.
That's right. That's right.
That is how petty he is.
Ethan Hunt doesn't fuck around.
He really doesn't. He's the living manifestation of destiny.
That is true. That final moment, he has so many hero moments in this.
Yeah.
When he jumps onto the helicopter and he does the whole red light, green light, and he sticks it.
Boom.
And as it explodes, we play the Mission Impossible theme or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, da-da, as he lands on the train, and then it comes and the blades are
the final stop.
His neck just inches from death.
And then David Schneider, Mr. Incredibles man,
pops back up alive,
does a passing out bit. It's so good. And then we get this great moment where with Max and Kittredge where he's like, well, what if we'll let you go if you just give us some dirt.
What if you gave us something we could use?
Yeah. Very fun.
Very fun.
Not dystopian in any way, but
no, not at all. Doesn't feel relevant at all.
No. But it's
sorry, I just saw this note. It's definitely for the train station in London when they do the reveal that Jim Phelps, John Voight, is alive. I just wrote down ghost.
100%. Tom is so perfect the way that he's that I can't tell if you're again the way he grabs his shoulders and stuff and shakes him.
He's
a little bit.
I was hallucinating you earlier, and then I yelled at your wife.
There is a little bit of Scooby Dooing going around.
A lot of Scooby Doo. I mean, we got people in masks. Series. We've got
mysteries. If you think about it, a Scooby-Doo final battle, final battle?
Final battle. Because there's a lot of those. They're up there with Dragon Ball Z in terms of final fights.
When they put their plan together to catch the ghost, it is a bit like a mission.
It is.
Is it not?
And the fact that he's
something always goes wrong.
Something always goes wrong, and then they got to improvise and do a whoop, 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 woo.
You could hear Shaggy say, Hasta Lasagna, don't get any onion.
He's like, Hasta Lasagna, man, don't get any onion.
Zoinks, am I right?
Zoink, yeah. My Shaggy was a little more Charlie Day this go around.
I have tried to do a Shaggy impression so many times.
Hey man, we're good.
That was pretty good, actually.
Casey Kasem.
I'm not
Here
even
on
gonna,
the We Need Another One podcast.
I'm not even gonna.
We need one more. I just mispronounced the name of our own show.
What did you call it?
I said we need another one.
We need another one?
That or Casey Kasem starting a rival one.
I could see Casey Kasem being like, we need another one. Is that what it's called? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Now for some smooth jazz.
I've tried to do a Shaggy impression so many times, and I won't even attempt to do it just for our listeners. I don't want to hurt their ears. One day maybe I'll do it. I feel like it's Matthew Lillard, that story where he's like, I screamed myself hoarse to do the audition. But I think the movie wraps up pretty cute.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
We got a cafe scene.
Yes.
The clink of beer.
Luther has a line that I wrote down. I adore. He says, "I'm gonna miss being disreputable."
Yeah.
He just sells the shit out of that.
He does, and it's like, don't worry, man. We're gonna go rogue a couple more times before the day is over.
Yeah. The fact that it's just the two.
I hope you weren't planning on an early retirement because you ain't.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
And then you get the final moment where Ethan says I'm gonna leave the IMF or whatever. He's like I'm gonna
retire, and it's like.
And then you get the moment with the plane. This idea of we want you back for more. That I think
the producers send him. This is how Tom Cruise accepts movie roles.
They send him like cryptic.
They send him cryptic because that's the only way they can reach him now. He's so deep into being totally Ethan Hunt.
See that. Well, hey, I'm into that. I would love that.
Yeah, and Scientology's like blocking. So to get around them, they're like. An Uber Eats bag shows up,
Yeah, I am the storm, all that stuff.
He's like, the rising sun sets on no one. And then he's like, all right, I'll be Jack Reacher.
Yeah, why not? I'll pull an Edge of Tomorrow. I'll see what's on the Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, Edge of Tomorrow. That movie's so freaking cool.
What's on the Edge of Tomorrow? A sequel that will probably, unfortunately, never happen.
A live, die, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat.
That movie's so good, dude.
It is.
We need to talk about that movie
one
day.
Okay, real quick, not to side tangent too hard, but what do you think is a better title? The Edge of Tomorrow or Live, Die, Repeat?
Edge of Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a better title.
Cap.
Live, Die, Repeat. I don't hate it. I don't like the idea that the sequel would presumably be called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat, or whatever is what they have been working to call it.
Yeah.
I think I get the idea that like, it doesn't really what is that? But it's also like, I don't know. It just sounds kind of cool. I just like it. Maybe because it's the first one. I don't know.
Change the title of a movie for the DVD release.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call situation.
Elaborate. Open up. What's this?
Ghostbusters 2016.
Teach me.
The Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig. That Ghostbusters reboot was.
I'm not going to say what that was. I'm going to answer in the next episode what that references to. For the people on the podcast, I held my hands up and said, "Teach me."
Yes,
in a desperate voice,
earnest in his eyes.
Yes, if you can imagine me with a ratty beard.
Yes.
If the comments are just like, "Imagine," I'm going to be really hurt, but do it. Take the shot.
But Ghostbusters, the 2016 reboot with Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig and Leslie Jones, that was called just Ghostbusters in the theaters, and then when it was released on DVD, they changed the title and it's called Ghostbusters: Answer the Call.
Alrighty then.
And so if you look up Ghostbusters 2016, it'll still pull that up. But like the DVD covers literally say Ghostbusters Answer the Call. And I don't think says that in the movie if you buy it or rent it or whatever.
Interesting.
I think it still says Ghostbusters.
When you see like the title on the movie, it doesn't.
It still says Ghostbusters, but the DVD cover it says Ghostbusters Answer the Call. But I guess now that we've kind of looked at the movie, whenever I finish this movie. Before we even started doing this podcast and asking the question, do we need one more? Every time this movie ends, I go, I continue. Please continue.
I'm like,
I want more of this.
I'll take another one. Yeah.
It's so
going into this, I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'll take a second one.
It also tees it up so well. You know what I mean? Like, I guess sometimes that kind of, we're going to go on more adventures thing can kind of bite you in the ass, but like,
but this is like a good one of, it's sort of non-specific. It's just like, it's more in that like James Bond will return kind of energy of like, we're going to do another one, but we don't know when or what.
I also think a lot of the time that the we're about to do more adventures thing struggles is, you talk about this movie kind of being an origin story. In a lot of origin stories, when we like withhold the main attributes, typically the aesthetic attributes of a character, that when we get to the end of it, when we do the like, hey, we're going to do adventures like the thing that you already know. Like when there's a reputation, you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking of, I don't want to name names, and I watched this movie, I enjoyed it. I think of Uncharted, like stuff like that, where it's like, where it's like, we're gonna do more adventures, and it's like, well, I kind of wanted to see the game, like people want to see the thing that they already know. Whereas this, the idea of just like a spy on another adventure.
Just you like Tom Cruise? You like spies? Do you like Ving Rhames?
Would you have wanted Brian De Palma to come back, not knowing?
It's like that weird thing of like, it's hard to put myself in those shoes because I was so young when these came out.
Sure.
And it's like, it's not like the Marvel movies where I have like, I remember the day, I remember how I was feeling, I remember my perception of like not knowing what was coming. But like by the time I had seen them, I had already seen like, I saw 2 and 3 already. So I was like,
it's already history.
It already had like a weird aesthetic to me. So it's like that weird thing of like, I guess no, but like in like my head, I'm like, I feel like probably yes.
Yeah.
Putting myself in those shoes, because like the Dead Reckoning kind of brings back some of the De Palma style a little bit, which is really cool. And I remember getting really excited when the movie was going and they started Dutching and doing a little bit of the classic De Palma like psychodrama. So it's like, I feel like I probably would have just wanted De Palma to come back and do more, and how different life would be if the second one was a De Palma and not a John Woo.
Yeah. I honestly think if De Palma comes back, I think, the franchise, I don't know if it reaches the same longevity that it has.
Probably not.
To be honest.
I feel like we need to do whatever we end up doing in 2.
I agree. I think in having John Woo do such a different thing, that allows you to pick up J.J. Abrams and start his career and do something separate. You know what I mean? Like, because we were able to define each movie individually as its own thing.
Yeah.
That I think has allowed it to persist. Whereas, I think if De Palma was doing them all, I don't even know if he would want to do them all. It's probably
not. Well, he did decline. They offered it to him.
Yeah.
Before they.
He doesn't seem like a guy that would want to do like a trilogy of Mission Impossible films.
No, he doesn't. He seems like I'm so no.
And I think if we had, I think it would have ended there. I think we would have gotten 2 or 3, and that would have been the end of it.
Probably, like minimum 3, and then just done. I guess.
Yeah.
That is wild. Brian De Palma's still alive. I was convinced he was dead. Just like Francis Ford Coppola. And when they announced Megalopolis, I was like, back up.
Well,
what? He's not only am I getting another one of these.
Yeah.
That man's alive.
Maybe one day we'll discuss Megalopolis. I think we've threatened that on our earlier episodes.
A lot of similarities between that and Mission Impossible.
Certainly.
In what way, I don't know.
There's an M in the beginning of the title.
And there's an E somewhere.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Yeah. At the end.
And the old part.
Yes. That's about it. That's kind of where it ends.
There might be other letters.
But yeah, I mean, this movie rules, dude.
I think it's great.
It's so
I
much
love
fun.
this first one. I think it's such a good start to like the thing. You got the masks, you got that. I think it's fun. This is the only one where Ethan doesn't shoot a gun.
Yeah, that's right.
He does not use a gun at any point in this movie.
Well, he'll make up for that in the next one.
He will in spades.
Yes, he will.
Damn,
we will be making up for lost time.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like you look at the budget of $80 million with a worldwide gross of close to $500 million. Like, yeah, you're damn straight we're going to get another one of these.
Also, originally $40 million. Cruise was like, we can't make this for 40. We need to make it for more. They gave him 80. He was right.
That's a good move.
And clearly it paid off.
Yeah, no, it absolutely paid off. He's still doing
good instinct. Yeah, good instinct.
But yeah, like just a fun movie. And like there's a lot going on, and like the Langley heist is like peak heisting. It's gonna set I feel like that set the template. Like every heist movie going forward is like, no, you have to watch Mission Impossible if you're gonna do a heist movie.
I think every Mission Impossible movie, I mean, we reference the Langley heist in like every movie, like we do the Wire bit.
Yeah.
And I think the other stunts, I'm thinking of the Burj Khalifa sequence right now, like they are equally as impressive, and in terms of on the terms of like just like a stunt scope, obviously more impressive given what he's doing. But I feel like we're always chasing this Langley heist,
kind of,
in a way. Not to say that we don't reach the heights.
It's
like
so tight.
There's so many incredible.
But
sequences.
It's also like I would like to see them have more of these really compressed in just one room.
Yeah,
it's like the stakes are so high in that sequence, but it's not high the way the other ones were, where they're also this ginormous set piece. And this is obviously like one of their big set pieces, but like, you know, the end of the movie is him like dangling off a moving train. And then the other ones is like, I'm on the building, I'm doing this. And then the Wire one is like, it's just like 2 dudes in a room. I'm trying to guess his password, you know, like
100%.
One of my favorite bits though too is at the very end of the heist when the knife falls and lands on the desk.
It's a perfect drop. It's so good.
It's so good. And the dude comes in and just goes like, oh no, I'm gonna move to Alaska.
They're gonna erase my existence, and they do.
Do you think that guy's the entity in Dead Reckoning?
If that guy is the entity,
do you think that's the reveal? Is the guy's in the cyber coffin and then peels back the mask to reveal he's Diarrhea Man from the first movie?
I just turned my head into that theory, like Indiana Jones looking at the boulder, like. The way that was just presented to me.
You mean Buzz Lightyear in the globe?
That's right. That is also what I mean. I would clap if that guy is digitized himself into
He's
the
like,
entity.
Hello, Ethan. You probably don't remember me when you ruined my life.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
For you, it was just a fun heist.
The knife is in the trailer for the Final Reckoning.
Is it? Is it the same knife?
They reference
or is it.
Okay, it's at least the same model knife. I don't know if it's the one Krieger.
So it's Jean Reno who's digitized himself into the.
That would be crazy. Coffin. I'd be into it.
I'll take more Jean Reno in these.
I would love to see Estevez come back.
But I was gonna say, do you think, because in Dead Reckoning they established that like you sort of like get caught, like the like sort of how you get recruited with Haley Atwell's character and stuff like that, and it's pretty set up that Jim Phelps is the one who recruited Ethan Hunt, and since we're going back to this and alluding to Ethan's like first mission, do you think we'll get a DH John Voight, or at least like a heavily shadowed one?
If we
I
get
feel
anything,
like no, because he ends up being the villain in this one.
I'm gonna say no, like, just given John Voight as a person, but I also think we wouldn't get him DH just because they almost did.
Speaking of Megalopolis,
that's true.
You like my boner?
I literally was just about to say that. But
that was the only thing missing was him to do that
was
and then
John
reveal
Voight in a Robin Hood costume.
Yeah, he should have peeled the mask back to reveal an older John Voight in a Robin Hood mask.
Horrifying. Just reverse Back to the Future 2.
It's like, I've had surgery.
But I mean, we almost got Cruz DH'd in Dead Reckoning, and they were like, "This is a bad idea.
I'm
Let's
so
not
glad
do
they
this."
didn't do that.
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm really over de-aging. I don't really feel like the effect works the way they want it to.
Just cast a younger person, man.
Yeah, it's just I think that thing
it's a
of
movie.
Like,
I know it's not
de-aging
real.
is always more distracting.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we want to be good storytellers. So like, let's stop.
Yeah.
Could we? I don't need more of that.
No, I certainly don't. If there's one thing we don't need any more of, I don't need more weird CGI deepfakes in movies. I just don't.
Don't need anymore. Unless it's Nicolas Cage in a Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh, it is pretty good in Unbearable Weight, but that's him doing him.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So like that's a little different in that he is still playing himself.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever we do it now in certain things, it's like a body double who just looks. It's like an actor who already looks like that person.
Yeah.
But now we have CGI'd their face, and we've also used AI for the voice. So it's like we've just taken performance out of it.
Yeah, it's just like this digital ghost.
Yeah,
that's weird.
I'm not behind that. I will not want one more of those.
Okay, no more face de-aging.
Yes,
but more mask.
It's officially
face
stopped.
Mask.
Yeah, more masks.
More face off.
Well, we'll get into the second one because I have some thoughts about the masks.
More masks off. I die in this hill until 2, and then I back off the hill.
That's fair. We have this opinion right now.
I let them take the hill
because we have not watched 2. Presumably, we have watched.
I've never seen it.
About to cover 2.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it.
I peel off my mask. I have seen it. Dun, 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 dun,
I peel off my mask. I'm also you, and I'm like, I have seen it as
much older
well.
In a Robin Hood costume.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you think of it? But yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think that's the first episode in this series.
Yeah, that's
Any other thoughts for you, or
no? This movie rules, man.
I think it's great, and I think if the question is, do you need one more from in the year 1996?
Certainly,
the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we will see.
Next
what happens in Mission Impossible 2.
Flash forward to the year 2000. Mission Impossible 2, when we see John Woo take over.
Yes. Oh boy, are we in the year 2000?
We are
in that
in
movie.
the year 2000. We got Oakleys and everything.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, but yeah, we're very excited.
I'm
very
super
excited
to talk about it because this, for a moment, was my favorite one.
2?
There was a time. Yeah.
Let's get into it.
We'll get into it.
Ready?
Not now, but next week.
All right. I'm gonna go do some freebase rock climbing. I'm just gonna go. I'll pop back in a second.
I'm just gonna be like throwing my shades until they blow up dramatically.
Great. You should put them in a missile launcher and fire them at me.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
That's not too broad at all. We'll see you guys
Maybe. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to We Need One More.
Be sure to follow us on socials like TikTok and Instagram at WNOM Podcast to stay up to date on upcoming episodes.
And feel free to join our Discord community where you can share your thoughts on the movies we're watching together. That's going to be at WNOM Podcast server with a link in the bio.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. That's the best way to support the show and to let us know that you need one more.
We'll see you next week. This podcast is produced by Pilot 9 and 9 Ball Creative.